Today we're going to talk about the lab, separating ingredients. The goal of this lab is for you to separate some of the liquid from other ingredients of some common beverages by using a process known as distillation, and to compare the amounts of this distilled liquid among the other beverages. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at our list of materials. Some of the measurements on those list of materials may be a little foreign to you, so I'm going to give you some helpful tips on ways to use some common household items to measure these ingredients. Things like a tape measure, a ruler, or a cup, measuring cup. So let's take a look at those list of materials first. Alright, the first item on our list of materials, it says, it's a little blurry for you, but it says 16 ounces each of cranberry juice, Diet Cola, orange soda. When you take a look at your measuring cup, 16 ounces, 2 cups. So that makes it pretty easy. The next item, a graduated cylinder. You don't really need a graduated cylinder. You can just use the measuring cup. Small saucepan. I have 3 pans here. 50 to 60 centimeter piece of aluminum foil. 60 centimeters is approximately 2 feet. So I have approximately 2 feet of aluminum foil here. 1 large glass jar. While reading through the steps of the experiment, I saw that a large bowl is just fine. You don't necessarily need a glass jar. Some crushed ice. I don't have crushed ice. I'm using ice cubes, and that'll be just fine. 1 small glass jar to fit easily into the larger jar, or actually my bowl with ice in it. The next item is a broom handle. I don't have a broom handle, so I'm using the end of a whisk. The next one is a heat source, so I have my stove. The next item is 9 paper cups. Some of them are not paper, some of them are see-through, and that is just fine. Permanent marker, got it. Empty pot, remember, I have 3. And a hot mitt or a pad, so I just grabbed both. We'll see what we need. Some other items that I didn't list, but we need. I grabbed a pair of scissors to cut my aluminum foil. We need duct tape. This is what I used to measure my aluminum foil. Cranberry juice, diet soda, orange soda. There's my whisk. And I also need my pencil for taking quantitative and qualitative notes during this lab. Let's get started. Step 1 was to create your tube out of aluminum foil and duct tape that will eventually hold the steam that leaves the pot and goes into your glass jar. So wrap your aluminum foil lengthways around your broom handle or whatever else you're using. Put the duct tape on the seam so no steam will escape your aluminum tube. When you pull the tube off from the broom handle, be sure to pull it off carefully so that you do not crush the inside of your tube at all. So that's step 1. Step 2 is to measure 200 milliliters of cranberry juice, which is approximately it is 1 cup. Pour that into your saucepan. Make sure the liquid covers the bottom of the saucepan. If not, you need to change the amount of liquid you're using, increase it, and record that amount in your data table. Step 3. Label a cup cranberry juice. Pour 200 milliliters cranberry juice into the cup. Step 5. Put your small glass jar into your glass bowl. Surround it with ice. Step number 6. Making the distillation apparatus. A couple tips. When you go to tape your tin foil onto the end of your tube, use a bunch of 1-inch pieces to go around the edges, and then don't skimp on the aluminum foil. It says use 4 small pieces, or make the pieces bigger because you can always remove, but it's harder to add to. So here's what it looks like so far, and I'm going to continue putting my tin foil over my jar. Here's the distillation apparatus. We'll see if it works. Step 11. Turn heat on and wait for it to boil. Okay, so while we are waiting for the liquid in the pot to boil, I can hear it simmering at the moment. I have my liquid in my pot is boiling. I have some steam escaping, which you don't want. But so I guess I didn't make my distillery as well as I should have. There's my cups labeled. I've started my timer. At 5 minutes, I'm going to take the pot off of the stove. So now it's just a wait and see and observe what is happening in my jar. The timer is at 4:35. At 5 minutes, I'm going to remove the pot from the stove. I'm going to pour the amount in the glass jar into the cup labeled cranberry juice distilled liquid. The remaining juice in the pot I'm going to pour into the cup labeled cranberry juice remaining liquid. These are my cups with the distilled liquid, cranberry juice remaining liquid, and the original amount of cranberry juice. So, initially I had the same amount of cranberry juice in the pot that I do in this cup. So we can see there's quite a bit less. Cranberry juice, distilled liquid, there's not much in there. I've only got about a teaspoon. Some of the reasons could be because I lost so much steam from my distillery. It wasn't made correctly. I think that's the main reason that I lost so much. Another, if you can remember the video we watched, not last week but the week before, there are other ways that this liquid has changed. Another thing that I want you to do in your experiment is make sure that you are recording the viscosity of each liquid. If it is thick or runny or somewhere in between, that is going to make a difference. I'm now going to perform the experiment with the Diet Cola and the orange soda, and we will look at our measurements in the end. Okay, I made a few modifications for my Diet Cola distillation process, hoping to catch more or prevent the steam from escaping. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. The point is when you see something is wrong, you try to fix it for the next time. Let's get started. So my Diet Cola is boiling and I'm super excited because I don't have any steam leaking from the cooling part of my distiller. I do have some leaking from the pan part. So for my next attempt I will try to seal the aluminum foil around my pan a lot better because that seems to be where it's leaking from. That's good news. I now have the Diet Cola in the pan boiling. I am not losing any of the cold part of the distillery. I am losing some out of the boiling pan, but it's better than last time. Okay, so I have finished my last portion of the experiment. This is how much orange soda was in the beginning. This is how much was left. Remaining liquid. And this is the distilled liquid. It's actually the most from the orange out of either three. The cranberry juice I was left with about a teaspoon. The Diet Cola I was left with probably a tablespoon and a teaspoon. But the orange soda, I bet I got 3 tablespoons out of that. Some observations that I made during my experiment. My cranberry juice seemed maybe a little thicker. My distillation process, my apparatus was not as good in the beginning as it was towards the end, and that's why I have more distilled liquid at the end. I had refined my distilling apparatus by the end. that may happen to you as well. What I want you to see that I'm doing through all of my observations is I want you to do this as well. So as you're making observations throughout your experiment, write them down. Separating ingredients portion of the lab is observations for the liquid before heating, observations of the remaining liquid, and observations of the distilled liquid. Do a couple things for me. Give the distilled liquid a smell for each experiment. Tell me what you think it smells like. That could be an observation. Make observations on the colors, make observations on the smells, make observations on the process. Make sure observations are quantitative and qualitative.